Hello, this video is to show how to input your new index for fiscal year 20 into self-service budget development. The first thing you need to do is find what your new index is. To do that, you can go to the Office of Planning and Budget website and click on the right-hand side. There's a 2019-20 Changes to Chart of Accounts link. When you get there, you have a couple options. You can look at the entire listing of all of the chart of accounts that are changing, all the indexes with the old and the new, or you can use this lookup feature. The lookup feature allows you to input your old index. So I'm going to use index 100-300 for HR. And right below that, it will give you your new index. So their new index is 200-300. Once you have that information, you can go ahead and go into self-service budget development to look up your old index information and input it into your new index. To get to self-service budget development, remember, you just go to Finance Self-Service and click into the budget development menu. I'm going to go into the test environment so that we will not mess up any real budget information in this training video. So the first thing you'll want to do is create a budget development report. This will show you what's in your index currently. I'm going to again use index 100-300. Once you input your index, click the index button on the left. That will populate the fund and the org that relate to that index. We are looking at fiscal year 2020. This is an E&G fund, so I'm going to use base as my phase. If you are looking at an auxiliary or non-E&G, make sure you select non-EG as your phase. The format I like to use is detail and report type with prior year operating ledger information. Once you've got that, click Create Report. And this will show you everything that you need to know for your starting point for your FY20 budget. So the easiest way to be able to transfer this information is to click the Download button down at the bottom of the screen, and that will open up into Excel. Once you've got your report in Excel, you have all the information you need, and you can use this data to copy and paste into your new worksheet. So I'm going to go back to self-service budget development. To do that, you can always click the Finance Information tab up at the top of the screen, or at the very bottom, you can click the Budget Development link. From here, we need to go in to Create Budget Worksheet. There's two worksheets that you'll need to use if you do have a new index for FY20. The first worksheet that you need to use is your old index to zero out all of your information in the old index. So to do that, go ahead and click Create Query. Make sure Adopted Budget and Permanent Budget Adjustments are both checked. Click Continue. And here's where you'll enter your old index information, so your index from FY19. Our chart of accounts is always U. Our budget ID for this upcoming fiscal year is FY20. Budget phase again relates to what index you're working with. Mine is an E&G example, so I'm using the phase base. And my index is 100-300. Budget duration code is permanent for everyone. Skip over Display Financial Manager. And then the checkboxes here, again, depend on whether you're using E&G or non-E&G funding. Mine is an E&G example, so I'm only using labor accounts and expenses. Once you've got that, click Submit. That will allow the index to pull up the fund, org, and program code that relate to that index. Once that's happened, go ahead and click Submit again, and that will take you into your worksheet. You can double check you're in the right index by the organization code name that pops up there. And then you need to scroll down to your worksheet. So the goal here will be to zero out any of the proposed budget amounts that show up in your worksheet. So this is an old index that we're not going to be using in FY20, so that's why we're doing this. So to make all of these amounts zero, you'll just simply subtract the amount that's in each line item. So I'm going to do a negative sign 12187, and I'm getting that number from what's in the proposed budget column. So you would repeat that all the way down. And again, all of these numbers I'm getting right here from this proposed budget column. So I'm not just making these up, I'm looking at these numbers and just subtracting in the change value column each of those numbers. If you happen to have a negative amount in your proposed budget column, you would reduce that to zero by adding the opposite amount. Once you've got all of your change value numbers in your column, scroll down and click Calculate. That will allow you to preview your changes in your new budget column. So ensure that all of those numbers are zero. And once those are all zero, go ahead and click Post to save those changes. And that updates your proposed budget column to all zeros. Now remember, normally for E&G, we want to make sure that our net cumulative change is always zero. This is not going to be the case in this situation because we are removing all of the funding from this index. So that rule does not apply here. But we do want to make sure that this net cumulative change matches up with our new cumulative net change in our new index. So now let's go into our new index. So again, you can always click the Finance Information tab, or at the very bottom of the screen, you always have the Budget Development link there. Now we're going to go in and create another budget worksheet. Create query. Same two boxes checked there. And this is where we'll use our new index for FY20. So I can jump back to my Excel document, the lookup that we used first. So remember our old index from FY19 was 100, 300. That was the one we just worked with. And our new index is 200, 300. So that will be the index we're using now to enter our new budget. I'm still using an E&G example, so my phase is still base, but remember again, if you are using auxiliary, you will select the phase non-EG. Always use permanent budget, skip over display financial manager, and then check to include. Again, remember your funding source here. If you're using non-E&G, you'll use these top 4 checkboxes. If you're using E&G, just these 2, labor and expenses. Click Submit. That allows the index to do its job, pull up your new fund, your org, and your program code. And Submit again will take you into your worksheet. Again, you can double check that you are in the right index by these values here. We see that we're still in Human Resources. So that matches our old index title. And now you see we have no actual worksheet that pops up. That's because this is a new funding source with no information that was able to be pulled from last year because there was no data in last year. So what we need to do now is use our downloaded SSBD report that we pulled first to match up all these account codes into our new budget along with our proposed budget base. We also have our justification text here so that you can copy and paste this into each of those line items. So depending on how many accounts you have, this could take a little bit of time, but by just copying and pasting, it should go pretty quick. So I'll do a couple examples here for you. The first proposed base amount we have here is $38,708, and that is in account 700,000 expenditures. So we're going to take that account code and put it here under the account program code lookup section. Type that in along with the value from the proposed base column, and that's 38,708. And you can add up to 5 at one time. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first 5. The next value we see is on student assistant account 711001. And you can actually just copy and paste this to help it go a little bit faster. The next value is in part-time employment. And then once you've got 5 values in there, go ahead and click Post to save those changes. You should get some green check marks that say what happened, that these account codes were added. And now it starts looking like the worksheet that you're used to seeing in self-service budget development. Continue to go through 5 at a time, inputting your account and the amount that goes along with that account. Again, I'm getting these values from the proposed base column. And this will be our starting point where we can then go in and make changes. Once you've got all of your changes entered, you need to make sure that your net cumulative change now matches up with your total from your old report. So 138,285 was the grand total from our old index, and 138,285 is our new negative net cumulative change. So now, if we do make any other changes to our budget for this upcoming year, you need to ensure that your net cumulative change stays that number. So any amount that you add in, you'll need to reduce the same amount in one or more of your budgets to ensure that that cumulative change remains the same amount. Again, this only applies to E and G. If you do have an auxiliary that you're working with, your net cumulative change may not exactly match up with what you had in your budget last year. The last thing that you need to do is to go through and click on each of these account code types to input your justification text. If you want to keep the same text as what you had last year, you can actually copy and paste this as well into each of these boxes. So I'll do one as an example. Click on the account code, and the top section is the place that will print into your budget development report. So make sure you put your justifications there. If you have any other information that you want to keep for yourself, you can enter it in the no print section. But make sure to put something in the text print section, click save, and then exit budget text page. You'll need to do that again for each of these account codes that you have in your budget. So make sure that that is up to date. Make sure all of your dates, and information is still correct. If you're increasing or decreasing one of your budget line items, you should explain that or justify it in that justification text. Once you've done that, you can go back to your budget development report and create a new budget development report for your new index. So again, this new index is 200, 300. Click that index button and it will populate your fund and your organization code. We're still in fiscal year 2020. Again, because this is E&G, I'm selecting base. If you're working with non-E&G, select non-EG. Format detail, and we'll keep with prior year operating ledger information. Click create report, and you should see all of your information here. You won't have any data in FY18 or 19. That is because this is a new index in FY20. But you will see your proposed base that matches up to your worksheet. Again, we have that same grand total that matched up with our last year total. So ensure again that that is the same amount. And any justification text that you've entered will appear in bold underneath the account title for that section. So again, make sure that you have justifications for each of your line items. And once you've done that, you should be all set. But if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to your divisional budget officer or the Office of Planning and Budget. And thank you and have a great day.